What's up, y'all? This is episode 2 with Cooking with Ronson. Today we're gonna make a mac and cheese recipe that doesn't have cheese. So for our cheese sauce, we're gonna actually have a couple of vegetables put in there, blend it up later. But first I got 500 grams of potatoes, one pretty big carrot, a quarter of a red onion, and like 3 red sweet peppers. You can substitute this with like half a red bell pepper, but we couldn't find anything at the store. I got 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 2 tablespoons of miso, 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. I got 2 tablespoons of tahini, 1 teaspoon of Frank's Red Hot, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I got 1 tablespoon of tapioca starch right here. And then, so that's for the sauce. And for the topping, kind of like my smoky bacon topping, I got 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, half a cup of raw sunflower seeds. I kind of pulsed up in the Vitamix a little bit. You can use a blender, you put it in a bag and crush it up with something hard. That works too. And then over here to mix the topping with, I have 1 tablespoon of liquid aminos. You can substitute this with soy sauce or tamari if you're gluten-free, and 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. And you can use basically your sweetener of choice. And right here for the little smoky flavor, I have smoked paprika. So first I have the pot actually boiling already. So I'm gonna dump about a pound of pasta in here. So make sure to salt your pasta water. So that's super important. There we go. And then just cook the instructions on the box. So for this one, I'm gonna try and cook it right below al dente because it's gonna cook a little more in the oven. So next we're gonna make the cheese sauce. We gotta cut up the vegetables. Whenever you cut up the vegetables, you want to make sure you have a sharp knife. So I like to hone in the knife before I cut anything every time I do. So just quarter this potatoes. And if you have an Instant Pot, you can throw it in there. Otherwise, you can use another pot of water to boil. So that's the 500 grams of potatoes. And all of this vegetables are already pre-washed. You want to wash your vegetables like you're washing your hands, 20 seconds, so that nobody is getting coronavirus in this house. So just cut these in quarters. So the onions I already kind of pre-cut in a quarter of an onion. I'm just going to cut the tail off, throw that in. This carrot, a lot of the nutrients are actually on the peel, so I kind of leave it. That's personal preference. You can peel it if you want. And just roughly chop it in quarters. Toss that in. Red bell pepper. Make sure the seeds are out. I'll toss that in. So now I have 1 cup of water into the Instant Pot. And if this was over on a stove, you just boil the water. So I'm gonna put the lid on now. There we go. I want to set it on high pressure for 12 minutes. And then, so I want to let this go for 12 minutes. And then once it beeps and it's ready, I'm going to let it naturally release the steam for 10 more minutes. So I'll catch you back. What's good? So our pasta finished cooking. I forgot to specify this before, but I use a box of lentil pasta and a box of chickpea pasta. You can use any type of pasta, just make sure it equals 16 ounces or 1 pound. So basically I drained that, I transferred it in a casserole dish, I think 9 by 13. And then the vegetables finished cooking. So it was 12 minutes on high pressure and then had 10 minutes of natural, just letting the steam out. And then this is the end product. And if you don't have a pressure cooker, that's all right. You can put it in a pot of boiling water. So now I'm gonna transfer all that good vegetables we cooked in here into my high power blender. And this recipe is best when you have something like a Vitamix or a Blendtec. That way the sauce can get nice and creamy. And then, see all this pasta water? Or not pasta water, but the water you cook the vegetables in. We're gonna save this for later just in case we need to thin out the sauce. So now I'm gonna put this on here and then I'm gonna put the dry mixtures. So this is the miso, the mustard, nutritional yeast, and the tablespoon of garlic powder. I'm gonna dump that in. There we go. Now I'm gonna dump the wet ingredients in. That's the 2 tablespoons of tahini, 1 teaspoon of hot sauce, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. A good dump. That tahini is gonna give it a really nice tangy flavor. So what we're doing here, we're just trying to mimic the cheese without actually having the cheese. Super healthy, very high in micronutrients. So now I'm gonna slowly turn on lowest setting in my blender. Start pushing these down. Going up as we go. So in the end, see how creamy that sauce looks? Looks pretty good. So now we're gonna make it kind of like a cheesy stretch. So here I'm gonna heat up the pan on medium heat, and I'm just gonna pour the sauce in there. And we're gonna cook down the sauce. And once it starts bubbling a little bit from the heat, I'm gonna pour in that tapioca starch. No sauce left behind. Welcome back. You can see how in this pot it's starting to bubble a little bit. You can see the bubbles kind of come up. So I have that 1 tablespoon of tapioca flour. And we're just gonna dump that in there and mix it in real nice and good. And basically just cook this down until the consistency you want. So once I get that tapioca starch in, I'm gonna get my noodles on the pasta right here. I'm just gonna dump it in. Give it a nice mix. And turn the heat off and just give it a nice mix in. So by now you can already eat this. It's already pretty tasty, but we want to add this next level to it by adding a little topping. So once this is nice and mixed, you kind of see it's coming together now. And dump it back onto the casserole dish. Oh, look at that. It smells amazing. So if you want this to be a little more saucy, you could add the vegetable water, but I like mine nice and thick with like 3 C's and maybe a Q. Well, that looks pretty good now. This is when we're gonna make the sunflower seed topping. So this is the 1/2 cup of sunflower seeds I kind of crushed up in the Vitamix before. 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, gonna give it a little cheesy flavor. I'm just gonna pour it in 1 tablespoon of maple syrup and liquid aminos, or you can use soy sauce or tamari. Any of that works. This is gonna give it a nice umami flavor. So I'm gonna give this a nice mix in. You kind of see how the nutritional yeast kind of starting to stick on the sunflower seeds. That's exactly what you want. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get that smoked paprika and add about 1/2 teaspoon, but I'm just gonna eyeball it, so give it a little nice spray. This is gonna make it taste a little like bacon. But this is cruelty-free, plant-based, no animals harmed here for my plant-based friends out there. So now that this is all nicely mixed up, just kind of sprinkle it on top for this sunflower seed topping. And this will give it a nice little crust. So now, while the pasta was boiling, I preheated my oven to 400, and we're gonna wait for that to preheat. So once that's preheated, we're gonna place this in the oven for about 20-30 minutes based on how this hardens up. What's up, y'all? So with the magic of time, it's at 400 degrees, it's baked for about 20 minutes, and the crust is looking extra crispy and brown. Look at that. And do you want your mac and cheese to be a little more cheesy? You can use less pasta. But for me, like, I like to get all my nutrients in from pasta, so this is what it is. Let me cut it with a spoon, get a little cross section. Get that crisp. That crunch. And here it is. Look how cheesy that is. That cross section. Take a little try. Hopefully I don't burn my non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium like I always do. And that's pretty good. You hide all the vegetables in for your kids, they'd be eating a lot. So stay tuned. I don't know what I'm gonna do next, but I'm gonna bring you some good stuff.